just so happened, September 17th, 2014, I was speaking to my editor-in-chief down at Real Combat Media, and we were talking about the subject of how boxing is politics. Now, you'd be surprised how many boxing fans or people who literally cover boxing, who people that have jobs covering boxing, don't even understand the politics of boxing. So you get a guy like me that comes along who has dedicated himself to being a reporter of boxing. So hours and hours and hours, no matter what I'm doing, where I'm at, I'm researching. But the biggest question in boxing today is, why hasn't Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao happened? Once again, it is 2014. Floyd Mayweather is almost 38 years old. Manny Pacquiao going on 36. So, well, he's 35. He turned 35 soon, I believe, like December or something. Or I think he's turning 36. I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make is this. You gotta be familiar. You gotta know who guys like Ross Greenberg is. You gotta know who guys like Steven Espinoza is. You gotta know all the promoters from Kathy Dover to Joe LaGuardia, Dan Goosen, Bob Arum, Al Haymon, Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, and I'm just, you got to know that stuff before you voice such strong opinions on things that takes a lot of research and for you to fully understand. So to break it down to the bare and start from there, I'm going to say that if you're still asking questions like, why didn't Danny Garcia fight Ruslan Provodnikov, or Chris Algieri versus Adrian Broner will be good, even though Chris Algieri is with Joe LaGuardia, not top ranked. But I'm saying, if you're asking questions like, man, I would love to see who Canelo versus Andrade, or I would love to see who Mayweather versus Bradley. If you don't understand, like, for example, Amir Khan versus Juan Manuel Marquez. If you don't understand like why that can't happen, then you gotta really look at what you think you know. Because I have read an interesting article today, a priceless article, and I'll post the link right below. It was from Thomas Hauser it was posted on Seconds Out. That's a channel Radio Raheem does the interview for. And this is not only the first article about this, but there's many others as well. But see, fans who are so strongly opinionated don't want to put the extra time in to do the research needed to say, oh, that's what they was talking about. So what I'm saying is, basically, you want to know why Al Haymon fighters don't fight on HBO. Why does a guy like Peter Quillen have to give up his belt? Why is a Danny Garcia versus a Victor Postol going to purse bid? Al Haymon is the most powerful promoter in the country. I'm talking about promoter on a grand scale. I'm talking about concerts. I don't want to spend too much time on that, because you have to Google and you have to look up, stuff like Live Nation. You have to, on my Facebook, link right below, you got to send a friend request. I got so many photos that people have been taking of him at this and that and this and that. You have to understand that this man had influence, powerful influence over HBO, the network, over HBO, the multi-billion-dollar network, to the point where Golden Boy Promotions, Golden Boy Promotions had a deal with HBO Boxing. But what you were seeing is, and this is true, listen to me, from 2008 to 2010, Andre Berto and Alfredo Angulo appeared on HBO headlining cards 7 times. Now, what does that have to do with anything? That's basically telling you Andre Berto was making $1 million a fight for fighting pretty much nobody. And we're talking about, you know, what they were calling, as Bob Arum said, tomato cans. Luis Collazo, okay. But what I'm trying to say to you is this. HBO Sports at the time, and right now, it's totally different. They run business totally different right now. They don't take no shit from nobody. But then, they thought they can tell us what fights we wanted to see. They thought we knew we wanted to see certain fights. So when you got Andre Berto, and this is true, Andre Berto only selling 970 tickets for one fight. I forgot which one it was. And then throw in the rumors of Al Haymon buying up the tickets, all the tickets, and then reselling them back to everybody for even higher prices. This is when I gotta go Roger Mayweather and say, you don't know shit about boxing. Me, I've said this whole everything I'm doing is to be a boxing promoter for my family. So there is, when you go to when you want to be an attorney, you got to go to law school. Now, when you want to be a doctor, you got to go to med school. This level right here is me practicing being a promoter. But I also have to learn the business. And what I'm seeing is you got to be strong and you got to be cutthroat. Because you see this skinny, old-looking man with these cheap suits. I'm talking about Mr. Thank You, Al Haymon. Thank you so much. You think, like, how is this man the most powerful? Like, and nobody tells him no. Because why? Because he gets you that money. And when you got a person coming up to you and they say, listen, I can guarantee you HBO no matter who you fight. And they sign you to all this money. What are you going to say? So the article was focusing a lot on how promoters, you know, smaller promoters than Golden Boy, you know, and such, they would, like main events and K2, places like that, Blue DeBella, Dan Goose, and they would have a fighter for so long, bring them up, get them to the level that they're at, and then Golden Boy or Al Haymon will go say, here, come with me. So it's like you didn't develop your fighter. You know, you're taking fighters that other companies develop. Just like the rumor of Oscar De La Hoya showing up. The fuck is that noise? Just like the rumor of Oscar De La Hoya showing up to an airport with $300,000 in a suitcase to try to sign Manny Pacquiao. This was years ago. But what I'm saying is, you see now, Oscar De La Hoya was all for signing up all the boxers. I'm talking about when he was with Richard Schaefer. Their goal was to sign up all the boxers and say, well, you know, you sign up everybody, you know, then we could do things on our own way with our own objective. We don't have to work with 5, 6, 7 different promoters. We can get it all done within our own organization. We're seeing this right now with in-house boxing, but guess what? Oscar De La Hoya said that years ago. To where, as in now, it blew up in his face because we have this in-house boxing of fighters not fighting the best and more concerned with the zeros. This is something that's been going on, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that's been going on. This has been a plan that's been in play for years. And it's just starting to come to fruition. Because when you have, and I want you to do this. Open up your other web browser while you're there right now. And I want you to type in www.haymonboxing.com. Just so happened, I got a nice, you know, large amount of trolls, and also got a bunch of computer geeks too. They even traced it back to say that that website is based out of New Jersey or some shit like that. I don't know. But to see something like that, now it says Haymon Boxing, but it says Haymon Sport at the bottom. So which means Haymon Boxing is just one. And you're asking yourself, can we continue to deal with this? Is this what our boxing is going to be? Seeing Adrian Broner and Lucas Matisse on the same card and not fighting each other, or hearing all these fighters calling each other out and not fighting each other. Most importantly, if you got to see the most recent interviews with my man Keith One Time Thurman, because you can tell deep inside of him there was some frustration about this whole, you know, thank you Al Haymon. It's like he taking care of me, you know. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Al Haymon is buying these guys their houses, buying them their cars, giving them all kind of crazy advances and saying, listen, no, I'm going to take care of you. As long as you sign with me, you cool. I wouldn't be surprised, because you wouldn't believe me when I say I believe the man is a billionaire, if not close to it, or he has $1 billion influence. And once again, this is stuff you can all go out there and find out on your own. Because for years, even myself, I just thought, well, he just left all the music business behind and came into boxing. I thought he just was some small-time music promoter. No. Madonna, Lady Gaga, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Whitney Houston, just to name a few. So when you hear about Al Haymon signing Miguel Vasquez, Al Haymon signing Chad Dawson, Al Haymon signing, you know, Peter Quillen, I'm talking when he signed up all these boxers. It was also Al Haymon signing Jay-Z, Al Haymon signing Lady Gaga, Al Haymon signing Beyonce. You get what I'm saying? So this is not... You wonder why he's banned from HBO. Damn, piece of water, jeez. You wonder why he's banned from HBO. Well, it's because Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao was failed to be delivered by Ross Greenberg. And not only that, Floyd Mayweather, the biggest draw in boxing, was allowed to go sign with Showtime. Because why? Because the word on a curb, allegedly, this Ross Greenberg guy said, hey, Al Haymon, I'm HBO Sports, and I'm the guy who runs HBO Sports. You know what I'm saying? The HBO Sports. Hey, Al Haymon, it's all you. You take over. So you got Al Haymon making bullshit matches. Ratings are not doing well. You got Bob Arum snapping. Then you got Al Haymon over there and Golden Boy and Richard Schaefer signing up all these fighters, stealing them from everybody else. And then not wanting to do business properly with other promoters. And then overpaying these fighters. Showing favoritism to Golden Boy, allegedly. You have to really ask yourself, this is happening now on a bigger scale. So when you think of why Pacquiao and Mayweather not fighting, damn. When you think about Pacquiao and Mayweather's not fighting, it's because now the networks are promoters. The networks say, well, listen, if they fight, we want this and that. So here is what's being said now. And it's true. It is true. So it's not, it's not a rumor, but the only thing is, will they get it done? HBO and Showtime are negotiating Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather for 2015. Now, we know that Showtime will have to be the _1 carrier. How will they do it? Will it be will it be pay-per-view on each network? It's so confusing. But they did it with Lennox Lewis and once again Mike Tyson, but not in this era. Not in this. That was America Online back then. That was America Online like 6.0 back then. I'm talking about not in this era. So I can understand on the business end how difficult something like that would be. Especially when you have these two sides who you would think, you're fucking businessmen. Like you're supposed to be like, like all that little stuff is supposed to be business first. You got to think like these guys, these corporate level guys, they can't even get along because it's like, no, I don't like him. I tried with him before. Fuck him. We don't need him. But then, my bad, my throat is dry and shit. But then you look at people like me and people like you and the regular boxing fans, you say, what do we got to do with that shit? Have you not opened your eyes? And I wish I could, because my eyes are still bloody red. But have you not, can you not Oh, and I'm wearing the Barclays hat for a reason. Let me explain that. Can you not see that when Mayweather says he's his own boss, he was wrong. His boss is Al Haymon. It's just that he don't talks about having a contract with Haymon. Of course he don't, but he has a contract with Al Haymon. Thank you, Al Haymon. Thank you so much. When he left Golden Boy Promotions, I said I've been preaching for weeks. He's going to go back. Where is he going to go? I'm telling you, I know he can't go. Where is he going to go? The date is reserved for Golden Boy Promotions. Oscar De La Hoya knew he was going to come back. He went back to Golden Boy Promotions. There's a good chance that this pay-per-view may not reach a million buys. I thought it would, but from what I'm hearing, if this pay-per-view, Mayweather versus McDonald 2, does not reach a million buys, then you know what that means? That's one of 4 pay-per-views to only go over a million. Even though he's averaging a million, yeah, he's averaging a million per pay-per-view, but still, if you look at what is involved, and I'm telling you, look at this. Ross Greenberg, the guy that was responsible for HBO Sports. He was responsible for 51 Emmy Awards. Not to mention all the different shows that he developed. But when it came to allowing Al Haymon to have so much control and HBO not turning as much of a profit as they wanted to, you got to think once again. When you look up, and I'm telling you just to, like to think, and you got to follow me on like business-wise. When you look up to the guys above Steven Espinoza, who is the CEO, and he runs Showtime Sports. He's at every weigh-in, every major fight. You probably don't know who he is, but he's very active on Twitter too. When you look at the people above him, the guys like I believe his name is Matthew Blank or something. When you look at him, he's the guy who's Showtime as the network CEO, multi-billion-dollar CEO. You think that does that guy upstairs watch boxing? Does the bigwig upstairs watch boxing, or does he look when you look at okay, the Showtime series? Oh, the Showtime series numbers are doing good. When you look at the Showtime late night porn, the softcore porn, like the numbers are up. When you look at the Saturday night or Friday night Showtime premiere movies that come on every week, it's like Then we look at Showtime Sports. You're like, oh, Showtime Sports. You go deeper and look at Showtime Sports. Just like if you look at, shows on Showtime Masters of Sex. Like, oh, the ratings are down with that. Oh, Ray Donovan shows are up. You look at Inside the NFL. Ratings are up. All Access ratings are up. Oh, wait a minute. These pay-per-views, what? Oh. We signed him to 230. Oh. And so far he's collected. Wait a minute. That's what I'm telling you to look at. So when it comes to Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather, I said a long time ago that Mayweather, when it comes to this deal, it is out of his control. Once he signed that contract, it is out of his control. Do you not know? People forget that before Mayweather versus McDonald won, he tried to retire. You don't remember that, do you? You don't want to remember it. He kept saying it. Weigh-ins, press conference, post-fight press conference. To one interview, I forgot what it was. He was sitting there with Leonard Ellerbe, and they asked him about it. Leonard Ellerbe looked at him like, you can't retire. Like, You got to think. He said it himself, like he doesn't like fighting twice a year. It's the first time he did it since in damn near a decade. So, looking at that 37-year-old, and look at what happened with the Maidana first fight. Despite what you fans think, you have to look at what you've seen, and then don't take it from me. If you want to throw, oh well, this boxing experts say this and this and that say this. Stephen A. Smith, go ahead. You're Floyd Mayweather ultimate. Floyd Mayweather slipping. He's slipping. Now you ask yourself, yeah, the tooth was fake. And yeah, it was a capsule, which means you can just, put your hand there and pop it right off. There was no swelling or nothing in his mouth. There was no excessive amount of blood. I had 2 teeth pulled, this year. And I was on like, listen, you're going to swell up. And then imagine getting punched in the face and the tooth breaking and all that exposed nerve. I was watching him in the corners. There wasn't no type of discomfort. There wasn't him doing like none of that. To whereas when Adrian Broner got his jaw fractured, you clearly seen it. Even though this is a broken tooth and in boxing. was a fake too. But the fact that he got hit so hard that it went flying out of his mouth, fake or not, you have to ask yourself, would that have happened 10 years ago? No, it wouldn't have. You got to ask yourself, with the excessive moving and the excessive holding, would Mayweather have fought like that 5 years ago? So when it comes to the variety of missed punches, even though he was very accurate, some of his punches were wildly missed. And I think, like, if he was fighting a more accurate, faster fighter than Marcos Maidana, he can get caught. That's what fans fail to realize. It's not that Marcos Maidana was wild. It just was Mayweather's accuracy. Even though, yes, you're not getting what I'm saying. It's just that when he missed, the few times he did, it was on some crazy, like, you know, body spinning around and everything. But either way, regardless of what you say, I know what I saw. He didn't look the same, guys. He didn't look the same. Something's missing. You don't want to believe it, and I'm not the only one saying it, so you know you can suck on that. But what I'm saying is, the point I'm trying to get to is, Al Haymon knows it. Steven Espinoza knows it. If that Matthew Blank guy, the guy who's running, he knows it. I forgot the guy who's running HBO knows it. Bob Arum, that fight has to be made. It's too much money even now. We're talking about, I did the numbers before, we're talking about if it sells 2.5 million pay-per-view buys, and I think that is very possible still. At $100, and I know they will charge us $99.99. And this is how they do it. They charge $89.99 for standard definition, and then make sure they get that 100 for their HD. And then don't be surprised if it's 120. That's 300 million right there. 250 to 300 million right there. Factor in ticket sales. And then, since I don't want to be sitting here talking for no 45 minutes, what do you think the undercard's going to be like? They were not going to just put Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. They're going to make sure that with a fight like that, they get the best possible bucks they can get. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Canelo on one fight, on a co-main event, then Danny Garcia, then Adrian Broner. You know, and I'm dead serious. The first fight will probably be something like Brandon Rios versus, I don't know, who can I put? Brandon Rios, Soto Carras, something like that. So boxers have a shelf life. Al Haymon is still going to be a boxing promoter, because that's what he is, 10 years from now. Mayweather's not going to be boxing 10 years from now. Bob Arum probably still going to be, and he going to be like 101 still out there, you know, promoting. Pacquiao is almost gone. He's going to be running for a senator. You won't understand, you know, like the business end of it, to the point where I feel that it's like, well, it's gotta happen. It's out of the boxing promoter's hands. It's out of the boxer's hands. And as long as these guys are HBO deals, they're looking at Mayweather and they're looking at Pacquiao getting knocked out, and they're saying, listen, we gotta get this money now. Simple as that. But both parties want to be the one who solely broadcasts the pay-per-view, and it's not going to happen that way. It's not going to happen. Because HBO, you know, doesn't want to let Pacquiao go over to Showtime to do it, and you got to understand that, yes, there's no written, from what we see, HBO deal. But Showtime, from what I'm getting from it, Showtime and Al Haymon and that whole Golden Boy thing, they fucked HBO over to the point where HBO was like, no, we're only broadcasting good fights. And if you notice that about HBO, they don't, like, when they broadcast a fight, it's a meaningful fight. People don't look at that. Yes, there are not as many of them because Showtime is eating them up, but when it comes to quality fights, HBO is broadcasting the better fights. And that's the reason why they got rid of Al Haymon. Don't you like? That's the reason why they got rid of him. They're like, yo, we can't have this. Like, we know, like, HBO is prestigious, and they've been known for, you know, being a staple in cable boxing, in boxing, period. So when you got Haymon coming in, putting Andre Berto against all these, it's like, yo, he's not fighting the best. And then, you know, you got HBO execs looking upstairs like, yo, those numbers not right. How can we pay all these boxers all this money? You know, and then you allow Al Haymon and Golden Boy to secure a deal with the Barclays Center. That, remember, okay, HBO, the Ross Greenberg guy, HBO helped Golden Boy. Thank you, Al Haymon. Thank you so much. Get that Barclays deal. And now they're on Showtime? Once again, I say this, listen, if you don't understand the boxing politics of it, you're going to be lost. You're going to be lost. Because I can sit up here for an hour, and I know I've been jumping around back and forth between subjects, but I'm trying to figure out like the best points to get you to understand. So I touched on the fact that Golden Boy, Al Haymon, they'll wait, for fighters to be developed by another promoter, and then Al Haymon to come in and start managing the boxer, sign the boxer to a manager deal, wait for their promotional contract to come out, then basically make all his fighters free agents. So realistically, if you think about it, his fighters can fight on HBO. I've been said that his fighters can fight on HBO. They're not bound to the Golden Boy name, bound to exclusively Showtime. Only Amir Khan, Floyd Mayweather, and from what I thought was Saul Canelo, but he may be fighting Claudio on HBO. They're not. They can go fight on HBO, but once again, that beef between Al Haymon and HBO is the reason why Al Haymon fighters won't fight on HBO. So when you hear guys like Peter Quillen giving up the belt and all kind of stuff like that, and then he goes to say, well, it's going to be bigger matches for me later on, and I got to follow my manager. Yeah, and it's true. Every boxer will say, multiple interviews, is that Al Haymon picks my fights. They don't have nothing to do with that shit. Once they sign that Al Haymon contract, it's like, all right, I'm paying you, I'm taking care of you now. You listen to me solely. Don't question me. That's a promoter. Al Haymon is the one who puts together the events. Al Haymon is the one who gets the sponsors. So when you think that's what the promoter's going to do, that's what Al Haymon does. It's just that you got a guy like Oscar and whoever it is, Eric Gomez, and he's looking over. Al Haymon like, no, do this, do that, do this, do that. But then you got my man Al Haymon, who is Mayweather Promotions. I don't want, from each day I'm learning and learning and learning, I don't want that man to get control of boxing the way he's trying to do. Because if 2015 goes by and we're not seeing the big fights, then I gotta go all out in exposing him and destroying him. Because somebody like me getting all these views, I cannot allow something like that to happen. So what I'm saying is this: if we're still looking at these same fights in 2015, when we're looking at these stacked cards, these stacked tomato cans, then there's going to be a problem. Here's an example. I always say, this is what I say. I say you got the top tier Al Haymon guys who fight the lower tier Al Haymon guys. Amir Khan, José Lopez. You get me? You got Airsley Laura, maybe Ishe Smith. You get me? Even Floyd Mayweather, Marcos McDonald. You get me? Once again, in T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. Please subscribe with Real Combat Media. I'm going to talk about boxing. Also now have a weekly Google Hangout show, which we'll sit here and just talk about boxing. I did it for 8 hours. Hard work, dedication. T Street Controversy, T Street Controversy Live.